guys, it's Onda here from dawnofchange.com. In today's video, what I want to talk about is the tortoise and the hare story, and how it relates to becoming successful. Why is it that the tortoise becomes successful in the race, and how can we use that to benefit us moving forward? In addition to that, what I'm also going to be talking about is failure, and the concept of it, and how embracing failure can actually heed you in becoming a more successful person overall in whatever endeavour you choose to partake in. So I hope you enjoy it, and speak to you soon. Okay guys, so what you're seeing right now is my digital whiteboard, which I'm going to be using to help illustrate and to explain the tortoise and the hare story to you, and to show you how it relates to self-confidence and how it can help you understand failure and what it is to succeed. Now, for those of you who don't know the tortoise and the hare story, what it basically is about two animals, a tortoise and a hare, obviously. Obviously, for those of you who know much about animals, tortoises aren't going to be as quick as hares. Tortoises are generally, by nature, very, very slow animals. They usually walk at crawling speed. They have shells. In relation to rabbits or hares, they're very, very quick. So they're very, very fast, they're swift. So you would assume that in a race the tortoise would naturally lose, but what the story goes on to talk about is what eventually happens, which is very, very interesting. The hare ends up falling asleep underneath a tree, and he eventually forgets about the race completely, and slowly but surely the tortoise creeps, step by step, eventually gains the hare, and he eventually wins, and the hare wakes up wondering what's going on. And the hare realizes that he actually lost the race. So what the story actually represents is it tells a really, really profound story, and it's got a very, very interesting meaning in that, because the hare was so quick, it underestimated underestimated the tortoise, but in turn it overestimated his own performance as well. So how does this got to do with success? Well, in terms of becoming successful, a lot of people that don't go through life in hardship and have it easy, when people have it so easy in life, they don't seem to appreciate what success really is, and they miss the important elements of success in the first place. They miss the lessons that it represents. So what I'm going to do to help illustrate this, in order to better understand what I mean, is I'm going to draw a hare and a horse, not visually obviously, but obviously because my drawing is so bad, I'm going to just assume it's going to what I'm going to basically do is draw two dots. So let's assume that this is a hare, and I'm going to put the initial H over the top of it, and this is the tortoise. And the finish line is here. Okay, so for the hare to get to where he is, he'd have to have gone this distance. I don't know what happened there. And for the tortoise to get to where he is, he'd have to have gone this distance. Now, for the tortoise to get to where the hare is, he's going to have to go through a series of trials and challenges. So let's assume that each of these lines is a barrier. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, this is probably the most realistic of representations, because to become successful in life, you've got to go through a series of stages and a series of levels to get to the next level. Now let's say, by way of example, in real life concepts, that these barriers, or this tortoise, was going through a relationship, and let's say each barrier was a challenge that two couples had to face. So let's say this barrier was communication. This one was arguments. This one was, I don't know, sex. And so for the it taught us to go through each barrier. He would have to face each challenge in turn, each barrier head on. Okay, so in order for that tortoise to get to the next level, we would have to overcome each one in turn to get to the goal. Now, in comparison to the hare didn't really have to go through much, because all the hare really experienced was success. In real life terms, what they call this is a fluke. I don't know if you've experienced it in your past, but I'm sure you've had situations where you've undertook a task for the first time and it was easy. You end up like going through it, and had an easy time. But then you go through it again, and then you'd realise, hang on a sec, I didn't have it easy like as I did the first time. It's actually very, very difficult. And this is what the hare represents. The hare represents a fluke. It goes through life, in the breeze, experiencing no failures, no hardships, no barriers. And in comparison to the tortoise had a hard time. Now you'd think the tortoise is worse off, right? Because the tortoise had hardships along the way. But in reality, that's actually not the case. Because if the tortoise was to go through the same problem again, and had to go through the same trials and tribulations, and he had to go through each barrier again, that tortoise will have acquired enough experience and enough past hardships that he will know exactly how to go through each one on every step of the way. So that tortoise will be a success. That tortoise will end up being the hare, and the hare will end up becoming the tortoise. So it's very, very interesting. It's very interesting. And this is why I embrace failure, and why failure is such a good thing. Because in order to understand hardships and what to do in the future, you'd have to go through these barriers, you'd have to go through these challenges and these tribulations in order for you to understand how to overcome it in the future. And it's not really the success or the destination that matters. What matters the most is what you go through in the process of becoming successful. And this is what the story, in my opinion, represents, and why I think the story is so profound. So my message really is clear. To become successful in your life, embrace failure. Learn to embrace failure. Embrace it, because failure is what will help you become successful. Learn to embrace it, because failure is what will make you successful. Okay, so I hope I've helped illustrate what it means, to be successful, and hopefully you can take this away and apply it in your life, and to really embrace it, and to not be afraid of it, because it will make you more successful in the future, and hopefully increase your self-confidence along the way. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you very soon.